Okay, so today we're going to be coding the ICT Silver Bullet Strategy. We're going to be coding a slightly different version though. We're going to be making the TTrades version. With his version, you don't need a daily bias. He just calculates it a little different way. I'll leave the video link in the description if you want to check it out. The strategy should look a little something like this here on my screen. And I wrote down some of the core concepts and rules for the buy strategy, and we'll do the sells as well. He gets the hourly 9 a.m. New York candle. He gets the high and low of that candle. And this is so I'm looking at a 3-minute chart, so this high and low, so it's 9 a.m. and it just closes at 10. You see here at the bottom, that's the 9 a.m. that's the high, that's the low. We mark that out. Then we mark out the 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. range. So this is the range that we can only trade inside. So that's a 10 a.m. 11 a.m. so we're only allowed to take trades inside this. And then for buys, we check for a close below the 9 a.m. low. So we look for like basically a liquidity sweep. We sweep between the below the lows here. We take liquidity. Then we look at you only trade within inside this time frame. Yep. Then we basically check for bullish displacement. So we check for like a large bullish move up, just like this candle here. We track the fair value gaps. So this candle created a fair value gap. That's this box. Then essentially we enter long once price taps into the fair value gap. So just like right here. We'll put our stop below the low, and we basically target the high. Just like that. So this is basically what we're going to be coding today. Alright, so let's just jump right into it. Alright, so let's start off with the first thing. So we need to track and mark the hourly 9 a.m. New York candle. And we want to get the high and low, and we want to place a nice clean line at the high, nice clean line at the low. We want to track these values. So we're going to need to get some high time frame information. We're going to do the same symbol. We need the 60-minute, which is the hourly. And we're going to need the previous high, previous low, and also grab the time as well. And this here, we want to change the look ahead bias. Nice. And then these values here, so we're looking to get the high, low, and time, and we want to put these into these variables here. So we want to get high, we'll track the low. Actually, let's name these a bit better. We'll do high time frame. Alright, so this will get the 60-minute or the 1 hour high, low, and the time, opening time. So now we need to plot the lines on the chart, and we need to track whether or not it's 9 a.m. to actually do this, because this is going to get all the 60-minute highs and lows. So let's go do that. So if time frame change, we want to track when the 60-minute changes, and we also want to check if the hour is equal to. So we want the 9 a.m., but we want to make sure, like, we don't want to get the opening of the 9 a.m. We want to wait until the candle is officially closed. It's 10 like a.m. or 10:01, and then we look back one candle to get the higher time frame 60-minute high and low, if that makes sense. So we need to do like one hour ahead. And then we want to plot so a high line and a low line. So we want to do line U. We want to place this line at this time here. And then we want to plot this at the high. And because we're using time instead of bars, we need to change the X lock to bar time. And we'll extend, so we're currently just drawing the line from the high. We need to maybe just project it out like 1 hour. Make it look maybe close flush with the 10 a.m. So we'll make an extension variable, because I'm going to just use this twice and it's a bit easier, and we're just going to do the current time plus 1 hour in seconds. I'm going to copy that, paste that there. That's going to be the high line done. Let's copy all this, paste it again. We now do the low, so change the high to the low, keep the extension, perfect. All right, let's save that and see what it looks like. Yep, save. actually add it to the chart. Hey, perfect. So we can see we're tracking the high of the 9 a.m. and the low, which is literally the very opening candle and the lows candle in this case. And then the lines stop at 10 a.m. So that's a nice range there. Now all these long and entry shorts, this is just from the default EMA strategy. If you remove this, you get an error. So we're just leaving it right at the bottom and we'll just ignore that for now. But this range is perfect. That's what we want. See, it lines up with what we're doing. Perfect. All right, so let's plot the 10 a.m. Let's do the next step and basically get this range here, the 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. range. We'll label this. Comment this. Just commenting so we know what we're doing. Alright, so basically what we're going to do, we're just going to track the time, and then if time is inside the range of 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., we're just going to color the background. Just like maybe a nice dull green or something like that. So we're going to create a function. We're going to call it inRange. It's going to be a single line function, so we're just going to type it here. We're going to do the time function, get the 1 minute time frame, and we're looking at the session is 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and this time zone is going to be UTC -4. So if you're inside that time zone equals true, otherwise not. Alright, so now we're going to use this function that we just created, and we're going to use it to color the background. You can change the background color by doing background color, and we want to use this function we just made. So if this in range is true, so essentially if we're between these two times right now, we're going to change the background color. We're just going to do if in range, and then we're going to do color, we'll just do green. Otherwise, if we're not inside this range, we'll just do NA, which is just nothing, because you don't want to be coloring the whole chart. We'll make this very see-through. Awesome, let's save that and see how it looks. Nice. So it's all coming together. We've got the range, high and the low. We've got this acceptable time we're allowed to trade inside. So that's like the first starting points finished. Let's jump onto some of the displacement and fair value gap stuff. All right, let's do some displacement now. Add a nice comment, displacement. All right, so essentially to do this, we're just going to track the sizes of all the candles. And essentially if the current candle is much larger than the rest by a multiplier, let's say like 2 or something like that, and then we'll color the candle. We'll change the color of the candle to like yellow to stand out, and that will basically be the displacement. So that's how we're going to code this. So first we'll get the candle range. That's going to be the open and minus the close. So essentially we're just grabbing the candle body, and then we're going to get standard deviation of this candle. Of the candle range, and we're going to do a length of let's do 150, and then we're going to times this, and we want this would be the multiplier. Let's just do 1.5. So you can change these values. This is how far back we're going to look back in time. So the further you go back, obviously there's more candles. The candle that you're looking at to be really large, and this multiplies how much larger it needs to be than the history. So you can play around with these values and you'll get different results on the chart. Cool, perfect. And the last thing we need with displacement is we just want to make sure that the candle is going to create a fair value gap. So we want a displacement candle that moves away from the rest of current price action. It doesn't really count if it displaces and it's just going, it's just printing in a range. those displacement candles we're not interested in. So to do that, we can just quickly check the candles. So if it's a bullish candle, the previous candle was bullish, we just need the high from 2 candles ago to be smaller than the low. So basically that means the current low is much higher than the high from 2 candles ago. And we just want to invert this for the bearish candle. So we need the low 2 candles ago to be much higher than the current high. So with that should make them only have fair value gaps as well. All right, so let's add this together and get our displacement. So I'm going to name this displacement bull for the bull candle, and that's going to equal when candle range is higher than the previous standard deviation, and we also need a fair value gap, we just wrote, and the candle also closes bullish. So that should be the bullish, and then we just need to do the opposite for the bearish. So we do placement bear equals candle range. This part will stay the same. This FGB part will stay the same. And then we just want to check if the candle closes are the different. If the candles go in the opposite direction. Awesome. Now we can change the candle color depending on if this is true or not. So it makes it a little easier to see it on the chart. So by doing that, we could do bar color, which would change the bar color, of course. If this is true, we're going to change the bar color to, let's do yellow because that just stands out nice. Otherwise, we're not going to change the bar color at all. And the last thing we need to add is, because we're doing this candle calculation like 1 candle ahead, we just need to offset this bar color by 1 candle. Because we need to wait for these candles to close to see if there's actually a fair value gap and if actually there is displacement. So what we do for that is just change the offset, and we just want to do -1. We want to go 1 candle back. That should be the bullish, and let's just copy this, paste it, change this to bear. Nice. That should be all done. Let's save it, and let's see if we get some yellow candles. Yeah, nice. There's plenty of them. So these are all light up. That's perfect. There's a couple of these that maybe you don't consider to be displacement. Again, you could change with these values. So let's say if we change this to 2.5. You save it, cancels out all these. Really starts looking for larger candles. All right, cool. So now that we have the displacement done, let's jump on and do the fair value gaps. Come down here. Again, the fair value gap, we pretty much just done it right here for the displacement. It's just basically a candlestick pattern. So for a bullish fair value gap, let's go bull fair value gap equals, and this is going to equal, we're going to need the most recent low subtracted from the high that is a couple candles ago. The gap between that needs to be larger than 0. So essentially we're taking this low here minus 1, 2, 3, this candle here. So it's going to be computing on this candle. So we go 1 candle back, that's the low, 3 candles back, 1, 2, 3, that's the high. That there needs to be bigger than 0, which it indeed is. And then we want to, and then we essentially just want to make sure this candle, so we go 1, 2, this candle's high is higher than this candle's high as well. So we're just moving in one direction. This candle technically can be bearish, but there still needs to be a gap. So we do high from 2 candles ago. Needs to be bigger than the high from 3 candles ago. That's it. That's the bullish one at least. So let's do the bearish fair value gap equals. And it's going to be the same type of thing. So we could do this candle here. So we want to do the the high from one candle ago, this. Subtract the low from 3 candles ago. So 1, 2, 3. This here needs to be a big gap. So we go low from 3 candles ago, subtract the high from 1 candle ago. Bigger than 0. And then we just want to do the same thing with the low from 2 candles ago. It must be lower than the low from 3 candles ago. Basically, we're just checking everything's bearish. Awesome, perfect. So we've got these written up, but it's not actually going to draw anything yet. So let's add the boxes for the fair value gaps. So we're going to go if that's true, so if there is a bullish fair value gap, we want to draw a box around it. And that box is going to be like this. So going to be a new box. Start of the box is going to be 2 candles ago. And we're going to be using the high to then just bar index. No, that's only 2. To then the most recent low. So essentially we're drawing a box between this gap. So drawing a box from here to here. And the box should just basically display like this. That's pretty much it. And then we'll just change the color because we'll do background color, color blue. We'll just change the opacity, so the transparency of it, because we want to be able to see through it. All right, perfect. Let's just save this real quick because that should do the bullish one here at least. Nice, look at that. So it's placing fair value gap, perfect. And these are all correct as well. You can see it's actually working nice. Let's go ahead and do the bearish one. So if bear fair value gap, I'm going to draw a new box. These are going to be in the same spot, bar indexes. And we're just going to flip the corners around. Just like that. We're just going to flip the high and low around because instead we're going to go from this low here, that's 3 candles ago, to the high that's here. We're just going to draw a box. And then we'll copy this part, paste it down here. That's going to change the color for that one too. Actually, you know what? Let's make this red so we can tell them apart. Alright. Okay. Alright. Alright, so the box has disappeared from the screen, but you can see that the marking a move here. So there's a limit to how many boxes you could actually draw on the screen, on the chart at once, before they start basically just getting deleted. The default is probably like 50 or 100, so it looks like we're probably hitting that now. Let's just, to change this, let's only mark the fair value gaps that are inside this range here. We've already built that function, it's called inRange. We're just going to copy that, come down here, I'm going to go if inRange, and then we're going to put all that in line, just like that. So that's all going to be inside it now. Now let's save this. Awesome. So now that's actually plotting where we like. You can see the red's got a blue border as well. Might as well change that. So that's border color. And we're just gonna, let's just make this completely invisible. Just like that. We'll copy that. We'll make the other one invisible as well. Perfect. And now there we have fair value gaps inside our range. Alright, so that's the fair value gaps done. Now before we finish these off, let's go back to a rule up here. We need to check first if there's a close below the 9 AM. So we need to check for liquidity sweep. In this example, it does obviously do that, but there could be other examples where it just trades down maybe to here-ish or opens and then just goes up. We don't want to take those trades. It's important that we must sweep trade below first to then even consider displacement or fair value gap. So let's go ahead and add that in. So what we want to do, we want to create two global variables, one for the high and one for the low. So we're going to go var for global. They're going to be floats. Let's do low range. That can just equal 0. 0 for now. And then high range, make that both equal 0 for now. And essentially what we're going to do is inside this, so once we're drawing the highs and lows inside this section, essentially once we've drawn them, we just want to track them. So we want to change the low range. I'm going to do colon equals because we've already declared it up here. We're going to assign it a new value, and it's going to be equal to the low, which is the low high time frame that we've got here. And then we want to do that the same for the high. So we do high range. We're going to assign a new value. That's going to be the high time frame. So these two should be tracking the hourly high and the hourly low. Perfect. So then now back down here. Cool. So now down here, we just want to create another two variables, global variables, and these are going to track if we are currently closed below or closed above. So I might name these. These are going to be just bools because they're going to be either true or false. We either have or haven't closed below it. This one's going to be, we're going to call it track closed below. I'm going to set it to false at the beginning. And then we'll make another one, var bool track close above. And that's going to be false as well. Now, inside this if in range, so that remember is inside this here. If that's true, we want to then check if a close below the low range, what we set up here, that's tracking that, that's going to be equal to this line here. So if we close below this line, we want to then change track close below, and we want to change that to true. Just like that. So that there, so basically on this candle here, it's closed below, it should be true. That's going to be true, well right now it's going to be true indefinitely. So let's change that actually. We want to set it to when the hour is outside, so basically hour 11, we just want to reset this value back to false. So down outside of this outside in range here, we want to go outside of that. We're just going to go if hour equals 11, track close below, we'll set that back to false. Cool. Might as well do the high as well. So we'll do this again. If close this time is bigger in the high range, we're going to then change track close above to true. We'll copy that, paste it down here, and then when that equals 11 as well, we're going to set it back to false. Awesome. Let's save that. It shouldn't actually do anything, but we'll use these later. Nice. Alright, now to use these, we actually just need to add them into this here. So we don't want to create a fair value gap box unless we have actually closed below. That's the bullish at least. And we don't want to create a bullish fair value gap unless we're below this line. We don't want to be creating these bearish fair value gaps that are on the screen right now because we haven't actually closed above this line up here. So let's change that up. So if the bullish fair value gap is true and track close below is true, then we could print the box. Let's do the same for the opposite. So if the bearish fair value gap is present and track close above, that is true, then we could print the box. Now if we save this, it should remove these bearish fair value gaps on the chart. Yeah, nice. Because we haven't closed above this line, so there's really no need to plot any bearish fair value gaps down here. They're just going to be wasting chart space. We're only interested, because of this sweep below, we're only interested in the bullish ones. Cool, what we might do as well, actually, we might change this displacement color, because this is displacing down to the bearish side, but again, we don't really care about it because we only want to look for sells if it comes up above here and sweeps and then displaces down. So let's change this. So I'm going to go up here. This is where we do the colors. We'll cut this part and we'll paste it down here outside of this. Now currently at the moment they only check, is there a displacement? If there is, this one's a bullish, so if there's a bullish displacement, there is, we're just going to change it yellow. What we want to do, we just want to add a few more things. So if there's a bullish displacement, yes, and if we've closed below. And then for the bearish, and if we've closed above. Oop. So this should only print a bearish displacement if we've closed above. Yeah, perfect. So it's removed basically all the displacements except the single one here. Because again, there was no other bullish displacements inside this gap, and the rest of them were bearish. That's exactly what we want. It just makes the chart a lot more cleaner because we're not looking at that other stuff, so we don't need to print it. Alright, so it's actually all coming together. You can see that we'll overlay this. You can see it's marked out these lines exactly. It's got the fair value gap in the exact same spot. There's another one here marked by me, which didn't displace it, so it doesn't have it, but that's fine. And then essentially all we need to do now is we just need to track when price comes inside this box here, like right here, we take a buy, we take a long position. So let's do that now. So what we want to do is we want to create an array. So each time we create this box, we want to basically put it inside a list. We want to create like a list of boxes, an array of boxes. And then what we're going to do is essentially, when we close each bar, we just want to check through that list of boxes and check if we've closed inside any fair value gaps. And if we have, then we can take the position. This will be a global array. We're going to call it bool fair value gap box equals, and it's going to be an array. I'm going to go new box, and we might as well create the bearish one as well, just like that. Now this is the bullish box here. We just want to push this box inside the array. We want to grab the array title, so bool fair value box dot, and then we want to do push. And then we want to put brackets around this entire thing. So a bracket at the beginning there, or not, don't highlight it, and then bracket at the end there. So essentially what we're going to do, we're pushing this box that we've just created into this list here, which we've just created up here. And we want to do the same for the bearish. So I'll copy this, come down here and paste it, dot push, bracket, and then go right to the end, and then put a bracket at the end. This just creates the new boxes and it pushes them inside the arrays here, but we haven't actually looped through anything or done anything yet. So let's do that. We want to create, let's make a function out of this, and I'm going to call this check buys inside fair value gap, just like that. And we're going to do, the first thing we need to do when we're checking inside an array is we want to make sure if the array has actually got anything inside it yet. Because I mean, maybe in some of these instances, there's been no fair value gaps and we can't actually loop through anything if nothing exists. So let's go if array size, and we're going to use, we're doing the bool fair value gap array. So the bool, this one here, if the size of it is bigger than 0, we'll continue. Now let's do the loop part. So we want to do for I equals 0 to array size. Basically, you want to loop through every item inside this array. We're going to get the current box. Current box will be equal to we're just going to start from 0. Oh, we've got 1 equals 0. Let's change that to I equals 0. We're going to start from 0, and that 0 is going to be equal to I, and we're just going to loop through basically for how many bullish fair value gap boxes we have inside our array. And for each time we loop, we're just going to get the box. We're going to call it current box. And then this, we're going to check, we're going to go if. Let's do the previous low. So this is, we're checking the bullish here. So if the previous low is smaller, and let's get the box's top. We get the top of the box for the bullish. We're using our current box. So if the current low, or the previous candle's low is lower than this current, this fair value gap box we're like currently looping through, we're gonna then basically place a long position. But for the moment, let's just create a label, and we'll just make it simple. We'll just do a new label, and we're just gonna name it. We're just gonna name it buy. We'll change the style of this label too, because this label will be coming from below. Cool. Once we've done this too, we actually want to delete the box, so we don't want to keep looping through the same box. So we have indeed closed below a fair value gap. That's good. We're going to remove that fair value gap so we don't keep checking the same box. And the way we do that is we just want to first remove it from the array. And we'll move the ID I, which is the current loop we're on. And then once we've removed it, this is going to remove it from the array, and it's going to return the value of the removed element. And we're going to use that to then delete the box. And that's just box delete, and we just want to put the curly brackets, curly brackets around it, just like that. And then we want to break. So if we've actually looped through, we found one, we've closed below one, we've deleted the box, we want to then stop this loop and just move on, like we've done what we need to do. We don't need to keep looping through anything anymore. Cool, so that's the function. Now let's call the function, because that's not going to do anything if we save it yet. So we'll grab this here, that's the function name. And we only want to check for buys inside this range anyway, so we're going to come down inside this and paste that right there. Now if I save this, let's see what happens, see if we get any errors. Alright, so I just did a little debugging and figured out why I was basically printing the buy signal on this candle instead of this candle. Because, with the fair value gap being here, this is when the low goes inside it, not down here. Let's get rid of that again. So basically what I did is I just changed these values around down here. I'll just Control Z it. So I just switched this. So this was, this is the high 3, but I've just changed this to low. And then this, I changed this to high. I switched them around. Basically we drew the box the wrong way. So we save that, and that's what I've got now, so I can't save. And then this is what we get up the top here. So now that works perfectly. So it does this buy here inside this fair value gap. And then there's actually a fair value gap right here as well, which it buys perfectly as well. Nice. Flip this around and do the sell side now. Alright, so I went and found a good example for the sell side. And you can see that the bearish sell side signals are coming through as well. So we've triggered above, we've swept to this high here. We've got displacement, the fair value gaps are showing up inside the range. Everything's working just as it should. We just need to connect it all together to do the sell signals now. So basically with this here, essentially it should be taking the sell, I guess, here is technically when the rules would be. The high would be the stop, and that would be down there. Your TP would be down below. I guess technically that would be another entry here with that high, the same with this. They'll probably all get triggered. So let's go ahead and do the sell side now. So what we're going to do for the sell side is we're basically just going to copy and paste this and just redo it for the sells. There is a better way, probably more efficient way to type this out, but just for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to copy and paste it. So we'll just grab that right there, we'll copy it, paste it. We're going to change this to sells. There is a better way of doing it. We can maybe like put it all inside the one function, but yeah, for today we're just going to hack this together and just do it the easy way. Now we're going to grab, instead of them all being bullish fair value boxes, we're going to loop through the bearish array this time. We've got the sells. We're going to just copy and paste each one of these four, change into bear, bear, and bear. The other thing we need to change is this here, so this won't be accurate anymore. We actually want to, instead of, so if we look up here, we actually want to check if the high is lower than the bottom. So let's get rid of that. And we're going to do high. The previous high is higher than box get bottom. And that's going to be the current box that we're looping through. And then this here, we're going to print the label. I'm going to just change the position of the label. So I'm going to put it at the high this time. I'm going to say sell. And the default label style will be fine. And then we do want to remove the box. We also want to delete it. So that's perfect. Awesome, that's pretty much it. Then we'll just copy this, copy it all, come down here, we're going to paste it in here too. And that should be it. Now before we save this as well, one last thing we want to do is we only actually want to check for fair value gaps inside this range. So each time it's 11 o'clock, we want to basically empty these lists, these arrays, and we want to start from 0 each time it's 10 a.m. So we've already got a little bit of this section down here, hour equals 11. We're resetting these, and we just want to basically clear the arrays as well. So we just go array, clear, and that's going to be the bull fair value gap box array. Just going to copy that, paste it, change that to the bear full value gap box array. Now let's save it. See if we get any errors. Yeah, nice, look at this. So we got them pretty much in the spots that I thought would happen. We've got the sell here. We've got the sell here for this fair value gap. And we've got the sell here for this fair value gap. What's that actually doing? It's actually just moving. We'll come down here. It's placing the labels on the wrong candle because we're checking one candle back for the high and low, then we're drawing it on the current. So let's just come down here. We'll change that to 1, change that to 1, and we'll do this up here as well. That way, these candles should, all the labels should shift back one candle, and that's it. That's better. Yeah, so this candle, that would have been the fair value gap right here. This candle's the first candle to go through it, takes a sell. This would have been the fair value gap right here. That high is 6676. That high is 6676. So yeah, that candle didn't go through it. So this candle, technically the first candle to the high is to get through the bottom. So we're taking a sell there. And then same with this here. So sell, sell, sell. Perfect. Awesome, and I think that's actually where I'm going to wrap up today's video. I might make this like a series. Maybe next video we'll come in and add the stop loss, add the take profit, and actually change, change these buy and entry signals because that's just still going off these moving average crossover. It's not actually entering on this yet, but I think this video is going to be long enough. So leave a comment if you want to see that. Hope you learned something today. Thanks for watching. All right, bye bye.